All right, welcome back to Threpticon. Today, our topic is going to be the Essene Gospel of Peace. Here we go. The Essene Gospel of Peace, a raw vegetarian gospel. So what is this book? The Essene Gospel of Peace is an apocryphal text. So apocryphal just means it doesn't refer to the four canonical gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There were hundreds more written at the time. And it describes Jesus as a member of the Essene community and gives spiritual as well as practical advice, teachings based on health, such as diet advice, hydrotherapy, etc. Who are the Essenes? The Essenes refer to a sect of Judaism from the post-biblical period. So after the Torah was written, the Old Testament was written, they lived in the Dead Sea area, right? And they were a communitarian movement, kind of like a monastic order, like Buddhist monks or European Christian monks. The members were known for celibacy and for not sacrificing animals and not eating meat. And lastly, they were famous. They became famous in the 20th century because they were associated with the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were found in Qumrun, in this cave in Palestine. And many people consider them the authors of these texts. So let's talk about the translator. Edmond Bordeaux Székely, a philosopher, philologist, author, born in 1905 in Hungary. And then he controversially produced the Essene Gospel of Peace, the book we're talking about today. And he claims to have translated it from various texts, one of which he found at the Vatican Library in Aramaic, and other texts, I believe, from the Balkans in Old Church Slavonic. Later on, he founded the Biogenic Society with Romain Rolland, and he advocated a raw diet. I don't know if it was a raw vegan diet or a raw vegetarian diet with milk and honey, but definitely a raw diet. Then he moved to northern Mexico, southern California. He founded Rancho La Puerta in Baja California in Mexico, which is like a healing center. And he died in 1979 after writing many books. And I would say quite a lot of books. This was the bibliography I found, beside a translation of the Essene Gospel of Peace, and many books on philosophy, religion, and a few on health. He's a very prolific author. So more context about the Essene movement, and this comes from Székely himself in Book 3, his introduction to Book 3. But whatever their origin, it is certain that the Essenes existed for a very long time as a brotherhood, perhaps under other names in other lands. The teaching appears in the Zend Avesta of Zarathustra, who translated it into a way of life that was followed for thousands of years. It contains the fundamental concepts of Brahmanism, the Vedas, and the Upanishads, and the yoga systems of India sprang from the same source. Buddha later gave forth essentially the same basic ideas, and his sacred Bodhi tree is correlated with the Essene tree of life. In Tibet, the teaching once more found expression in the Tibetan wheel of life. The Pythagoreans and Stoics in ancient Greece also followed the Essene principles and much of their way of life. The same teaching was an element of the Adonic culture of the Phoenicians, of the Alexandrian school of philosophy in Egypt, and contributed greatly to many branches of Western culture, Freemasonry, Gnosticism, Kabbalah, and Christianity. Jesus interpreted the most sublime and beautiful form in the 7 Beatitudes, the Sermon of the Mount, which I think I have to make a correction here. I believe the Beatitudes are 8 in number when I was looking it up. Anyway, so we have this idea of an unknown source of wisdom that inspires the Essenes, inspires the Zarathustrians, inspires Hindus, and then that creates sort of other branches, right? Other branches of philosophy, religion. From Hinduism came Buddhism, and then a form of Buddhism was this Tibetan Buddhism. Buddhism he refers to with the Wheel of Life. Zarathustraism was its own branch in what is now Iran, what is now Persia, that area. And the Essenes themselves had an influence on, like he said, the Alexandrian school of philosophy. So these Platonic philosophers, right? Pythagoreans and Stoics. These well, Pythagoreans, we've talked about this sort of sect of followers of Pythagoras, and the Stoics in ancient Rome, and the Phoenicians who worshipped a god named Adon, which was later the Hebrew Adonai. That was the origin of it. And then this blend of cultures then influences Western culture that emerged, Christianity, and then way later on Freemasonry, and then in the Middle Ages, Kabbalah, Gnosticism. So yeah, it's a complex, a web of influence, but it's all related here. So what are the key ideas in the Essene Gospel of Peace? All right, the idea of Mother Earth. Above all, if you read those four canonical Gospels, and then you read the Essene Gospel of Peace, it's gonna jump out at you. Oh, there's continual reference to Mother Earth. Mother Earth as sort of that female element that's frankly lacking in canonical works. I mean, it's all about sort of a boys' club. But here they talk about that feminine, that divine feminine aspect. Then a huge aspect is a metaphor of health and sickness. Jesus and his followers as healers, as kind of doctors. Compassion for life, self-control, temperance, raw foodism. It's very clear the raw foodism is recommended. Lacto-vegetarianism, because milk is also recommended, as well as the fruits of the earth and vegetables. And then the forces of nature are described as angels, right? The angel of the sun, the angel of water. And then, as the title indicates, peace, peace, kind of the Sermon on the Mount type peace. So here's some quotations. So this quotation here clarifies the biblical permission for killing. And Jesus continued, God commanded your forefathers, thou shalt not kill. But their heart was hardened, and they killed. Then Moses desired that at least they should not kill men, and he suffered them to kill beasts, meaning he allowed them to kill beasts. And then the heart of your forefathers was hardened yet more, and they killed men and beasts likewise. But I do say to you, kill neither men nor beasts, nor yet the food which goes into your mouth. For if you eat living food, the same will quicken you. But if you kill your food, the dead food will kill you also. For life comes only from life, and from death comes always death. For everything which kills your body kills your bodies. Everything which kills your foods kills your bodies also. And everything which kills your bodies kills your souls also. And your bodies become what your foods are, even as your spirits. So we have an interesting idea here as, what you put, like I said, the canonical gospel has Jesus saying it doesn't matter what you put in your mouth, it matters what comes out. Here it's saying the opposite, it matters what goes in. The body informs the spirit. It's the idea here. And this, once again, a call for compassion for life on earth. So advice not to cook food comes from this passage here. It is the fire which blazes outside your body, which is hotter than your blood. With that fire of death you cook your foods in your homes and in your fields. I tell you truly, it is the same fire which destroys your foods and your bodies, even as the fire of malice, which ravages your thoughts, ravages your spirits. For your body is that which you eat, and your spirit is that which you think. Eat nothing, therefore, which a stronger fire than the fire of life has killed. Wherefore prepare and eat all fruits of trees, and all grasses of the field, and all milk of beasts good feeding. For all these are fed and ripened by the fire of life. All are the gift of the angels of our earthly mother. But eat nothing to which only the fire of death gives savor, for such is of Satan. Right, so he's talking about sort of the good fire, the fire of the sun, as he calls the natural elements, the angels of our earthly mother. Very beautiful. Right, and recommending not to cook the food. Exactly. Sort of, once again, that idea of temperance and not succumbing to sort of empty tradition, cooking with hot fire. And then this quote: "Body is temple. Take heed, therefore, and defile not with all kinds of abominations the temple of your bodies." Which I've heard that phrase. Your body's a temple. I was associating with kind of gym bro culture, but it's very old. It's very ancient. And if you look in the Bible, you'll find it too. 1 Corinthians 6:19. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you received from God? You are not your own, saying you got to take care of yourself. Your body is indeed a temple. And that idea will have influence on, say, Gnosticism here, Hermeticism, the idea of the body as a microcosm. The body is like the whole universe in one little unit. So that's my bibliography for today. I just drew from the Essene Gospel of Peace, which you can find for free online. You can read it. Wonderful book. And then I've included a bread recipe because there's a recipe for bread here. How to make bread without heat, without fire. Let the angels of God prepare your bread. Once again, nature, Moisten your wheat, that the angels of water may enter it. Then set it in the air, that the angel of air also may embrace it. And leave it from morning to evening beneath the sun, that the angel of sunshine may descend upon it. And the blessings of the tree angels will soon make the germ of life to sprout in your wheat. Sorry, the blessings of the three angels, so water, fire, and air. Exactly. Okay. Or water, sun, and air. Then crush your grain and make thin wafers, as did your forefathers when they departed out of Egypt, the house of bondage. Put them back again beneath the sun from its appearing, and when it is risen to its highest in the heavens, turn them over on the other side, that they be embraced there also by the angel of sunshine, and leave them there until the sun is set. So once again, take this with a grain of salt, because if it's it's winter and in New England, it's 20 degrees out. This is not going to work. You need a hot Mediterranean sun, like in Holy Land, like in Southern California. It's a Mediterranean climate, desert climate. Definitely you could do this in Arizona, but I wouldn't do it in, like I said, Minnesota in February. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, so what do you think? Like I said, there's a controversy around the Essene Gospel of Peace. Some claim it was real, some claim it was a forgery. So what do you think? Is it real? Is it a forgery? Does it even matter? Let me know your thoughts. And with that, I will say thanks for watching. See you next time.